Srmt and Dmics. Human life is a medley of joy and misery, and both of these sections have their own grades, starting from a tiny joy to something colossal, and even in experience of misery, starting from a spark to a blazing misery. So everything has its own grades. Whenever we get something in a great standard, something in a great accumulated level, in the form of something positive and preferable, we used to call it as a grand prix or boon. Similarly, something which is destructive to us, if it comes in highest standards, more beyond our imaginability and tolerability, same thing is branded as disaster. Disaster is not cause of anything, it is a product of everything. Disaster, it may be surprising or even humorous for you to know that disaster is a granddaughter. Her mother is disorder and her grandmother is disobedience. Disobedience of mankind with nature, with fellow beings, with the principles of every aspect of his surroundings results in disorders. Disorders cumulatively, like Indra Vikas Patra, cumulatively it is giving its own magnified results exposed on various grounds. So, first of all, the philosophy of disaster management starts with bringing obedience in the minds of civilians or denizens of the world. Obedience to his own self-conscience, his working, living, loving and working environment or studying environment or progressive environment. Everywhere there should be a system of obedience. It may minimize disorders, which may minimize disasters or the impact of disorders by our prudence and possible action. This is the basic of whatever we call. There are two things. Very interestingly, disaster is more different from what you think. There are two things which we used to say, errors and sins. Sins are something subtle in nature, the impact of something caused before several births or several periods. Whereas errors are something which is conspicuous, which is rigid, which is visible, and which is meant with a system of gross vision and analysis. Disaster is a product of visible errors rather than invisible sins. Disasters are products of human errors. Let it be ancestral, let it be ongoing, which may reflect in a prospective way, but most of the things are preventable. Coming to disaster, we classify the study of disaster into 4 groups, apart from rescue operations. Always they talk about detection, management, rescue, rehabilitation, and various other services. Apart from which, there are 4 pillars of disaster analysis. We have to analyze only 4 sections. One is predictability, second is preventability, third is preparability, and fourth is repairability. Whether these things are preventable or not, predictable or not. Yes, we can predict. Prediction means it's not planetary prediction or something. It is detectability. Yes, they are detectable by sciences. I have given many lectures about infraspatial sensory analysis and assessment. How to use the infraspecies like worms and various other things. How to read about the subhuman species behavioral change at the time of disasters and even before them. Consolidating them as proper indicators for analyzing what type of disaster and what type of magnitude it is going to come. It is a different subject, not confined within the media arena. So I want to say that it is predictable. It is preventable. We can mitigate them, we can soften them, we can control them, we can do anything, even we can arrest them. But in some cases, most of the cases they may not be, but in some cases they are totally stoppable. Prevention, already it has been mentioned that there are 4 losses. One is in case of cultivation, we lose all of our investment, agro investments. Second is losing our valuable possessions. Third is losing our station or shelter, our houses, our basic existence. And fourth is loss of lives. Loss of life is also trifurcated. Losing one's own life, ending in death, losing the person's ability to life and losing the hope of life. All these things are considered to be death. And we have to revive, we can revive few people and we can pray for the peace of the souls of others. But something we can do. So this is preventability. Preparability is the work of philosophy. No science and technology, no media, no government can cultivate the seeds of courage, competency and the system of confidence in the people. The system of triple C or C cube, confidence, courage and competency, can be cultivated by a mind-to-mind translation or mind-to-mind transfer, which is the marvel of philosophy and spirituality. It's not a religious spirituality. The person's utmost concern and compassion for the well-being of the people, the person's moralized structure and fabric which can implant the seeds of these three C's inside the minds of the people, can only make all of these benefactors to end in successful ventures. So the success of every prudent act of science, technology, polity, economy and rescue forces or various other operations, they are all dependent upon the process of implantation of response inside the society. So we need to develop such a system. That's what we used to say whenever somebody asked me, do you know any disaster management professional? Then I told that in that committee the first member is either the beneficiary or the victim. He is the first member. He should be a professional. He should be having a quadrilateral sense of appraisal. What are they? He should be able to save himself. In the superior most level, he should be able to save himself. If not, he should be able to support the saviors. If not possible, he should have the mind to coordinate with others and make it fructifiable. If nothing is possible, he should at least respond to the rescue operations. The minimal or marginal expectation that we can have from the person is his responding ability should be there. Why there is a problem in all of these things? The person is willing to escape. Why he is not escaping? They have been displaying me about the system of trauma and traumatic infection in human minds. A person much talking about disaster. For example, in a great disaster assembly of various technocrats and brave warriors and soldiers, only few people may be there if, apart from the other announcements, an announcement of an impending disaster is announced. We are announcing innumerable things. Amidst which, if somebody announces that there is a bomb in this building, only very few people will be there. All other people will immediately vanish like a vapor, because a person's preparation is not well made in the society. A person's preparedness for attending into dangers, thinking and working should be given at the time when there is no danger, and it must be repetitively stimulated by means of mock drill operations and virtual reality shows. In all developed countries, disaster is a common treasure of the entire world. All developed countries, they are also prone to disasters and they are managing it. Countries like Japan, Italy, Germany, France, USA, UK, Canada and Australia, they have advanced mock drill operations, frequent mock drill operations and frequent checkup like medical report. The person's morality report and might report and the person's masculinity report is frequently checked in those countries, whether they are capable of facing these things, whether they are capable of saving themselves, saving others, or at least helping us to save them and others. So these type of operations are much done in the other countries, and fortunately we are yet to do that, and we should plan and try our level best to instill the system of mock drill operations as well as the simulations by means of virtual reality in all other common and casual situations. In casual situations, if the trainings are given, it will be used in challenging, critical and crucial conditions. The training should be offered only in that condition, not in the critical occasion. Anything that is well trained and implanted in a casual mode, if it is reinforced in such a methodology, the same thing will emanate in spite of various reservations, various other suppressions due to the traumatic downfall that we are having, that in spite of that it will just make a very great emergence, surprising emergence on those occasions, so that we can balance our mind and see that we can do something for us and others. So point number one is we have to see that these beneficiaries are trained by means of various shows. Point number two, information and services. Information itself is a service. According to me, we say giving information at the time of darkness and complete blindness itself is a very great boon. You need not give the person back. Saying that somebody is doing something itself, information is a very big reliever. Information is the first relief, help is the second relief, rescue is the third relief, settlement of the person and counseling is the fourth relief, which we call it as rehabilitation. Counseling and settlement totally put together is known as rehabilitation. This is how we are seeing. They have been talking about different disasters like cumulative disasters and seasonal repetitive disasters. Like if you say Assam, you know that Brahmaputra flood. If you say Bihar, the river Kosi flood. These things are well known, like we are knowing about the capital of India, the national flag in its color, etc. These things are very well known. No need to go for any prediction because they are seasonal, and still they want to make it green and fresh. Every year they are reporting the same relief is provided. That we will discuss later. So seasonal, cumulative and domestic disasters. In disasters, charity begins at home. Disaster also begins at home. In our negligence, in our misuse of operations, wherever you see, because negligence, misuse and inexcusable silence are the three roots for disasters. Because of our negligence, misuse and this silence that we are doing, silence or ignorance which is inexcusable, all these things. You may be ignorant yesterday or today, tomorrow. Throughout your life, if you are ignorant and if you are silent, it is inexcusable. Then you have to suffer and see your people suffering. That's the only way. Disasters are destined to people, those who are not interested in welfare of themselves and others. It is a destiny. For others, it is a rewritable destiny. There are two things, writable CD and non-writable CD. This is also writable for people, those who want to be vigilant, want to be active and dynamic. So, what we want to here provide as a preface for this lecture is, we have to be interested. Based on our interest and enthusiasm, we should be trained properly. All these disasters that emanate from the house in the form of either fire, gas explosions, electricity leakage, building collapse, then a tree fall, rain, manholes, starting from our own neighborhood and our own house, it pervades into the entire things like oil spills, avalanches, then chemical explosions. We have great things like tsunami and earthquake. All these things God or nature provides all essential elementary lessons for learning what is called vigilance, what is carefulness and what is action, what is integrated action. Everything, lot of opportunities are being provided for human beings where they are willing to be oblivious or subservient. They adjust with these circumstances. So disaster is a lesson taught to people, those who are not rectified or made corrigible by the earlier lessons. This is what we want to emphasize by a philosophical insight. Point number 2, whenever we talk about media, media has innumerable responsibility. There are two types of media. One is the systematic media or the principled media, and second is the existing media. There are two things. That which exists is totally different from what that is idealistic. So idealistic media, the name itself is acronymous. MEDIA means it should motivate everybody to do the action. It should educate the motivated people to do it in the right way. It should direct the people what is going on and what should be done later. It should involve all the beneficiaries and integrate them. It should associate with all benefactors and be a mediator or a bridge between beneficiaries and benefactors, intensifying the effect of good act. Either it is relief, rescue or reward or cube. Whatever it may be, it should be in between these three people. One thing, media, everybody is saying that it is representing truth or fact. What is the difference between fact and truth? 300 people collapsed inside a building is a fact. The building has been misconstructed because of the negligence of officers and supervisors. This has been caused is a truth. Truth is something beyond the fact. You should understand. Fact only gives the idea that what it has happened. Yathartha and Satya, there are two Sanskrit words. Fact is entirely different from truth. Truth is a very great word. Rita, Satya, Dharma, Yathartha, all these things are entirely different. I don't want to delve, dip and drill inside these things. Simply saying, truth and fact presentation methodology is there. How an advocate should present, you ask an advocate, he cannot go and say something. It will be nothing but the funeral of his own client. Then a doctor cannot say something because it will collapse the morale of the person. So, if you know the fact, if you don't know the truth, just shut up your mouth and ask others how to do the same. If you know both, you follow the presentation methodology and reporting in a proper manner. So, media reporting ethics as a different subject, unfortunately not being taught in the media campaigns or in the media institutions. If you know everything, you cannot do anything whatever you want. That is the system. What is that? Holding. On some occasions, you have to hold the information. You should not publicize the information. They are known as holding context. Second thing is limited information. Third thing is gradual information. Fourth thing is positivity prioritization. This is how you have to manage the presentation of facts and truth. You cannot say anything as per your wish. If you want to develop sensationalization, thrill, suspense and undue curiosity of the unconnected people, if you want to provoke only anxiety, then that is also a disaster known as media disaster. Already there is an ongoing disaster because of various other things. Natural disaster, man-made disaster and media disaster. The undue reporting or over-reporting or the misreporting status and standards of the media people creates the, like the fourth pillar will become the third disaster. Fourth pillar, fifth pillar, we are using to brand them with different names. It will be converted as the third disaster. So what we should do? We should create a humanitarian phase and phase of PHASE and FACE of media reporting. That is a primitive media civilization. If you are just driving bullocks, if you are wearing only leaves around you, they will call you a primitive man, isn't it so? Like that, showing dead bodies, showing lamentation, cries and all pitiabilities. Then what does it mean? It means that the media is the primitive civilization. That has gone. In Japan, in various other countries, when disaster happened, they showed only analysis and rescue. They showed only the end report. This is how we have to learn. India is a well-civilized state when the whole world were nomadic, nude and barbaric. Now at the media era, we have to prove again, we have got the burden to prove again that we are supreme in civilization by totally abolishing this primitive media culture and civilization. We should not promote these things. We should show only things. What to show then? Not blackness or some other soliloquy or melancholic music like Shania or something. We should show something different. What is that? Direct interview, sensible interview from the survivors, from the rescuers, analytical discussion between policy makers, principle makers, workers and other people, which may provoke some curiosity, which is a due curiosity meant for saving others, and needed standard information should be there. Media is meant for giving only three things: hope, patience and understanding of the events and crises, not to create some other things like that. Hope, patience and understanding are the three essential benefits that one can get from media. This is the greatness of media. And media consists of reporting in three phases: before the event, during the event and after the event. And media, essentially, they should be keeping on as a reminder about such possible and prospective things. We went to Nepal. We went to address one Science and Scientist Congress. Before few days, there was one disaster congress, international congress held at Kathmandu, in which the scientists, they have discussed about a prospective disaster without mentioning the exact time, date and other things. They were hopeful of an impending disaster, and it was published in the paper. Within few days, within a week, we saw the disaster. We were there at the time of the Nepal earthquake. So, we cannot be so accurate in the date, time, etc. As the area is prone, as already it is the list of seismic sensitivity and explosions, we should be capable of understanding that we should be away from that. We should be having all escapability, or we should totally escape from the zone. Now we are in the same disaster zone. You want to sit inside the fire and want to feel chill. How it will be happening? Till now, no type of corrigibility or transformation, corrigibility as well as transformation, has been witnessed in any spot in the world. Not to talk about India, maybe in few countries other. All the people in the Brahmaputra regime, the people will live in the same accident-prone regions. They will construct their house, extend their houses, they will expand their construction, they will heighten their construction, still they will be there. Because they live by disasters. Few people die by disasters. Many people, many parasites, they live by disasters. For to retain their survival and for their obesity, they want disasters. Even preventable disasters are being extended and preserved in the disaster museum in order to revive them on respective seasons. That's what it is happening. It's not joke. When considering few areas, we can accept that it is a truth. So at that time, we have to give that news. At the same time, before that we will give something. We have to give three things. Media consists of three onus to be provided. The first thing is to provide awareness in before reporting, to provide hope, understanding, as well as patience at the time of reporting, at the time of that event or crisis, and to provide realization after the event occurred. If it is not providing awareness, just as a mother provides appetite before the food and digestion after the food, that is a motherly care. Media is not an industry. By profession, it is an industry. Let it be an industry. But by its social sense and presence, it is a mother of the society. It is a leader of the society. It ought to provide awareness before the event and provide realization after the event, and providing hope, patience and understanding during the event. That's what it should do. Repetitively flashing the same thing. The media analysis, we delivered a lecture on depth and width. If you are talking about the same thing again and again, what you are doing? You are roasting the same element. Over roasting the same element will make it dirty, dry and unedible, isn't it so? They are roasting the same thing and moreover widening the same thing. Widening the same thing. We talk about the depth. Something occurred, how to read, how to connect with the other people. This is the methodology by which we have to connect with all other people and see that they are very much enlightened or educated. This is what we have to see. And news sense itself is entirely different. News is also an acronym. According to me, every word is an acronym. Every word is acronymous in its senses, very comprehensive senses. News is not ending with sensation or not extending with sensations. If you create some sensation, then keep it away, then that's not news. News is notably ending with solution. There are three types of mentioning, or there are three types of communication with the society. Whenever you see media, you are seeing how media people they speak. They speak with a different language. They speak with a different voice modulation, giving a new color and sensation. It is inhuman to produce a separate style of rendering, separate thrill of rendering, separate joy of rendering. We don't want them to cry with emotions. We want them to keep quiet with their sensations and produce a sense, spirit and solution. With their human nature, let them give sense. With their spiritual nature, let them provide the spirit. With their intellect, prudence and responsibility, let them provide the solution. With a sense of humanitarianness, with the spirit of being a living being created by God and nature, and with the solution that they could find from their team and various other experts in their committee, let them provide this triple sense, spirit and solution. Without giving either sensation, they need not be even emotional. Like the parents and their sufferers, they need not cry, but they need not make it sensational. So news itself is notably ending with solution. So solution giver is to be appreciated. Two major points I want to emphasize here. One is, in all disasters, you know that we are blessed with a very great oblivion. We are capable of forgetting many things and memorizing and preserving all unwanted things. Our reminiscences are dumped with everything futile. Great culture, values, education syllabus, Indian freedom, all these things we have forgotten. We just remember the dates. We don't have anything, stuff, substance, all these things we have totally removed. And surface we are holding. August 14th, August 15th, like that, we remember the dates, we hoist the flag, and we don't remember about anything else. Similarly, after this disaster happened, see, disaster will vanish in just 2 days. Reporters will vanish in 1 week. Relievers, rescue forces will vanish in 1 or 2 weeks. All the things that have been provided like tent, food materials will vanish in 1 month. What will happen to them? Do you have any assurance that all the people, their problems will vanish? If there is an assurance, counter assurance, that the problems or their risk will also equally vanish when these things vanishes, then certainly it is okay. But they are having their ongoing problems, which is not easily rectifiable even for years together. So the rate of collapse, and innumerable people they have provided, international funding agencies, national funding agencies, governments, NGOs, international intergovernmental contributions, international NGOs, like that. Many people have dumped their wealth in the form of kind and cash. What happened? Who is the beneficiary? What has happened and how it has reached? There is no special publishing for that, and we are forgetting everything. So we should forget. We should forget the miseries of the past, otherwise we cannot live. But forget the teacher known as disaster. Don't forget the lesson she has taught us, with which you can carry the entire, because teacher may vanish, but the lesson should be carried in your mind for your academic elevation or your professional elevation. So what we need is the lesson should be ever memorable in your hearts. It is there. Wherever there was a very big interactive discussion about media and disaster. It is being conducted every year in the World Press Club and various other occasions. What they have been showing is, apart from the relief and solution for the victims, what that is happening there is nothing but the game of fame and pity. They are running a show. What running a show? One major point I want to emphasize here, where all media people should learn what is known as civilization is, whatever you are showing is the game of pity and fame. Pity of the suffering people and fame of the people, those who are helping. You see, if somebody is giving food, somebody is giving some dress materials or anything else, what is there special to show? Why you are belittling the dignity of a human being at the time of distress? Let you be a millionaire. If you are in disaster, you will be also a pauper. When everything is swindled away by nature, everybody is equal. In graveyard, everybody is equal. Similarly, in disaster-prone area, everybody is equal. So, there they mentioned in the roundtable conference that human dignity should not be belittled at any cost. Showing these people like paupers and they are standing in queue, and these people throwing this thing like great contributors. great munificent authorities like Karna and other people, it should not be shown. It should be treated only as a humanitarian act common to everybody, as a duty sense, that which is essence for everybody. And no advanced media civilization will provoke public stimulus by showing this fame of the givers and shame of the rescuers of the relieved people. It should not be shown at all. This is where they have emphasized. And one more interesting thing I want to say about media. Media reforms, there was a special meeting I told about TRP. Because whatever they are there, they are based upon TRP. It is target rating points. Then I told that you can keep TRP, but with different definitions in my own acronymous way. It is teaching. It is teaching righteousness to people, TRP. It is training in the right way to people, TRP. It is truly responding to public, truly relieving the poor. It is truly reforming the public. Truly, it is rewarding the payers. So many people are investing on media. The true way of rewarding the payers is to do something for the society. And transparency, responsibility and philanthropy, that may be held as a TRP. Like the TRP, we are having innumerable explanations. Now TRP means T for terror, R for rumor and P for panic. These three things are much spread in the society. So what we need is, that's what I told in the seminar on media, that media, the two sensible media, responsible media should be selected and they should be given an award known as Human Face Award. Human Face Award should be given. Now there are a lot of books on human face of technology, human face of polity, human economy, conscious capitalism. There is a new phase, new era that is coming, attaching the humanness with everything which has been totally forgotten and forbidden. Similarly here also human face, because media consists of three phases. One is very rigid, useless. Second is very light, useless. That is known as horror and this is known as humor. It is full of entertainment on one side and marketing horror on the other side. Leaving this horror and humor, the middle way, the best way, the most magnanimous way of being human should be recognized and they should be duly awarded. And three major points I want to emphasize is in this August assembly as a route map or a special manual for media to proceed with the public. The first TRP is targeting the right people. You see, whenever you are showing about a crisis, disaster, for whom you are showing, there are affected people, concerned people, curious people, and there are people with different levels of curiosity. Mean level, middle level, mediocre level, and marginal levels of curiosity are there. Why you are feeding or feasting these mean and mediocre level curiosities and making all the other essential curiosity people to be fasting? Why there is a feast and fasting? For these extremes, why it should be there? We should target only. See, whenever there is a crisis going on, whenever there is an indigestion, you fast. Langanam parama ushadham. Similarly, whenever there is a social crisis going on, you should take fasting. You should sacrifice this TRP and various other benefits and you should target on only the essential, accurate informations that are meant for the concerned people and the affected people and the curious people, those who are going to be active. Only these three people you should target. Don't bother about these people at least for 1 week. Give holiday for your sensationalization at least for 1 week. You cannot relinquish it fully. At least you can give it as a token of your MSR, media social responsibility, or MNR, media national responsibility, or MHR, media humanitarian responsibility, whatever you can call it as. At least you can take a holiday for that. We are doing that. Second thing is media, it is having one more TRP. It is targeting recruitment of performers. At the time of media, while you are reporting about this person is suffering, somebody is doing, you invite army people. There are three types of people: trained people, capable people, and interested people. Trained people like army or police, retired people, they can be invited through media to come and make a team and to network with the other relieving people or rescue professionals. They can also join together. So invite trained people, committed people, interested and qualified people, and create a database of all of these people which may be used for prospective disasters if you continue to be more careless in future also. Make a database at least for a safer side. It is recruitment of performers. That is also TRP. Third TRP is much interesting. It is taking risky probes. That is also TRP. If you go for various other reporting, simple reporting, like somebody has stolen the hen and chicken and somebody is opening this manhole and there is a drainage all these things, if you can report, there cannot be much problem. But taking into risky things, you should not ask three things. Who is continuously retention? That is, what is retention? I have already told, if there is a seasonal disaster, it is preventable. Why you are not preventing that? So retaining these disasters is made by an organized lobby with hierarchy. Who is doing that? Second, who is the real beneficiary in disaster reliefs? The affected people or the serving people? Who is the real beneficiary? The third question is, what is the ultimate settlement that was assured and that was experienced or enjoyed by these people? How much it has reached the people, those who are vulnerable, sensitive, affected, and those who are supported to have been rehabilitated. So three things are there. Who is organizing a lobby of disaster? Second, who is the real beneficiary? Third, how much these people are benefited by the relief operations as well as funds? If these three questions are asked, then you are getting into a dangerous probe. Because you know that Reporters Without Borders, it is an international organization. They have given a wonderful report about media freedom. There is the mapping of media freedom, and there is also a world media or press freedom index they have given. In countries like Ukraine, China, in various countries, even in Russia, various countries, even in Europe, Europe should be an advanced, it is said to be much democratic in nature. Still there are lot of predicaments for these media people to report, because media people, they are suppressed. Otherwise their findings are clouded. Those people are impressed, they are purchased, they are diverted. Those people are disabled, they are even displaced. Few people are being searched now. Many people are destroyed. Something is happening in the world. It is really happening in the world. And there are also several things known as media countering. One thing I want to emphasize here in this assembly, if a media person, a genuine or an equitable person or a neutral person is reporting something about truth, immediately it is countered by a media which is owned by the offender. Can anybody own a court of their own with their own judge like brother-in-law and everything? There is no possibility to imagine media houses being owned by people, private corporates. Liberalization of media, see, liberty and freedom are two essential sources of developed human civilization. At the same time, if it is caught under the wrong hands, it is a disastrous blow to the civilization itself. What I want to emphasize is, even though there is liberalization, there is no liberalization of courts. Court is neutral. There may be some influence, bribery, embracery, backdoor entry, all these things that are different. But the establishment is completely neutral. Isn't it so? Similarly, it may be against media liberty or freedom, but providing opportunities to run media houses to people, certainly only money-minded people and money-having people will run media houses. Such people only can do that, and such people will have their sources rooted to social evil and social ills. So social ills and evils will own indirectly media houses. How they can report against their own ills and evils? Digging their own grave. So this is something we have to ponder upon and think. So media should have freedom. It should have also courage. Apart from that, it should also have social support. I am having courage. If my freedom is tampered, I cannot work. If somebody is trampling on my neck, how I can shout for you? So courage is first, freedom is second. Social support, if you give social support, if you touch a leader, immediately thousands of people jump. But the leader may not be working for the public. Media people, they are working for the public, but nobody is coming there. They are reading, rejoicing the content, not thinking about the welfare of the reporters. So media should have extended social connectivity and impact and networking and relations, so that somebody will help for them. This is the most essential thing we should understand here. It is known as risky probe, and people, unless we support media people, they cannot support us. They cannot do something for constructive for our welfare. And final point I want to emphasize is, there was a roundtable conference about media, scientific information and disasters. There was a big conference. There were a few points which I want to emphasize now, very simply. Point number one, in 1970, in southeastern side of Bangladesh, there was a big cyclone. 1970 November. 3 lakhs of people died and 1.3 million people displaced. So the person, that is Muhammad Saidar Rahman, he is the disaster management professional there. He mentioned that in 1970 November, the loss was 3 lakhs and the displacement was 1.3 millions. By proper media intervention and rescue forces operations, the same type of cyclone with the same vehemence or intensity, it revisited out of affection of the people. It revisited the same zone in 1985. In 1985, May, As well as in 1994 May, it revisited. While it revisited in 1985, the death rate, no displacement, death rate was just 10,000, 3 lakhs to 10,000. In 1994, it was just a few thousand, maybe 1,000 or 2,000. It was. So what it shows is, it shows the productivity of the rescue operations and receptivity of the locality. Similarly, if you make an assessment table here, we can finally understand how far they are receptive and how far these people are productive. Such a table, unfortunately, have not been made. DMS should take the responsibility and risk of analyzing and assessing all of these facts, creating an active or dynamic blueprint for the people to proceed further. It should be given. And point number 2, there was Terry Juggle. Terry Juggle is also a disaster specialist. They were talking about networking. Common people, the rescuing forces, disaster management or emergency preparedness of professionals, policymakers and government people, medical rescue team, all these people are living in islands. Proper networking, understanding and connectivity is not there. So what we should do is, very interestingly we have been told about preparedness. One interesting point I want to say, which you should start from today itself. Instead of searching for people, what we can do to minimize risk and energy. We are taking a lot of time, risk and energy as well as resources to rescue these people. What we can do is to create a database of people on their names, their identities and their attendance and presence inside that particular area. There should be a regular reporting. Just by pressing a button or by mere envisioning of a person can make the person's attendance registered. It is just a record. It may be incomplete, it may be intermittent, but if you register the name of the people inside along with few specifications, 6 specifications we used to say. Number 1, their connectivity with the mail, with the mobile and social networking sites. He has mentioned about insurance, their insurance facilities, if not to insure them based on a compulsive or coercive basis, which is there in Scandinavian countries. It is compulsory to have a medical insurance, and in few countries it is automatic. Once a person is born with the nationality, automatically the person is insured. Either it should be automatic or it should be compulsory. How to deal with the insurance. And 5th is, what is the person's health hazards or health risks. And 6th is at least 10 contact details of his helpers and relatives. If you give the details of the person's photo as well as all of these informations, while identifying the person at the time of danger spot, either inside the danger spot, the person should be safe either in a shelter or in a care home or in his own abode. Whether the person is a dead, displaced or caught or trapped, nothing is known. Whenever you identify a person, it takes enormous time and risk for us to identify the person. The person totally, like a Brahmagyani, he forgets about himself and he cannot say who he is and where he is. At the time of a traumatic coma, you cannot interrogate with the person, or you cannot create an interview about his whereabouts, his relatives and other things. He is like a lost child in an exhibition, which cannot say anything but to cry for the mother. So to create an earlier database of all essential information will reduce the person's risk, time and energy at the time of operations. That is what we have mentioned in the area. Like that, similarly, everywhere you should not talk about, they have mentioned in the roundtable conference. They have also conducted, you might have heard about in disaster, you might have heard about the Yokohama strategy. Yokohama strategy is very famous. They have conducted a special workshop for an action plan for a safer world. How to create an action plan for a safer world, in which what they told is, all these rescue people invariably they were fighting only for 4 things. One is, they want to show their expertise, they want to show their authority, they want to show their adventure, they want to show a success rate. They are not interested in rescuing the people. Then I told in that discussion about these 4 things, I ended by saying that your authority, expertise, your adventure and your success should be established by smile of nature and smile of the affected people, not by your own declarations. This is what most of the people, when joined together, they want to pose. You might have seen in a lot of rescue operations, you just remind it in your mind and see all of the operations and the operators as an interviewer. You can go there, or you can just see in the TV, you can see their faces exposing their expertise, adventure and other thing, rather than caring for the people there. This is what it is happening. And he told about competition. There is a competition in reporting. Who is accurate, accuracy, promptitude, magnitude and lateralism. If somebody is showing as 35 mm, they want to show as a 75 mm. That is cinemascopy. So there is a competition about accuracy, promptitude, magnitude and Width, this is what it is happening. So we have to abolish this competitive sense, and we have to see that we take the humanitarian sense, at least for even people, those who are very famous non-vegetarians. They may be voracious non-vegetarians, they observe fasting or restricted food at least on chaturvedi, on festive occasions. Let the carnivorous industry be herbivorous and be human sensitive or socio-sensitive for some occasions, in which one essential occasion should be this disaster prone occasions or the disaster affected occasions. It's what we want to emphasize. And two things mainly I want to teach. One is to award the students and workers. If media, they are bringing the super singers, actors, singers, dancers and other things. If you are caught in a trap of disaster, which will save you? Which will protect you? Music? Dance? Which art will save you? Except the art of civilian defense, except the art of courage and bravery, what else in the 64 arts will come for your rescue? Art of prayer may come for rescue, but it should be aided by somebody brave. It cannot suddenly send somebody and lift you in the heaven. So the main art, the socialistic art, is bravery exhibited in emergency preparedness. Media industry should announce social hero awards, and they should also conduct quiz competitions and various other contexts, and totally perennially they should penetrate into the society and frequently conduct such operations, media operations, to recruit people. I have already told, these people should be rewarded and awarded. Then only they will come for this type of operation. They should be also promoted with some incentives. Similarly, everybody is a doctor, but can somebody else can do the work of a gynecologist? Or can a nephrologist do the work of a neurologist? Entertainment media reporter cannot report about disaster. Entertainment reporting media is like medical industry. Like that, there are innumerable medical divisions. In media reporting also there are innumerable things. Spiritual reporting, spirituality and religion, news, polity, economy, all these things not only need technical specialization, it also needs a tactical specialization. So we have to create a media academy for emergency preparedness and disaster reporting as a private organization, or insist a chair or a special session and section in all media institute, at least to test or experiment the possibility of exploring the establishment of such an institute. It should be there. This is what we want to emphasize. And finally, as the concluding epilogue, in my recent lecture on the disaster management, detection and remediation, one person wrote a note, feedback form. He wrote a note. Sir, I observed 5 points. One made me to cry, one made me to think, and another made me to motivate, to get motivated or motivate others. And one more thing to act, and finally I laughed. And he also mentioned what I told. Just I want to mention that. I told that amongst us, several people are yelling for rescue, crying for help. They are abandoned. If you are keeping our silence, as you are also morally responsible, sometimes socially responsible, sometimes functionally responsible for the most disastrous events of the world. Nobody is irresponsible, nobody can be irresponsible. What we should understand is either you are socially, functionally, morally responsible for these things. So every person, every safer person should answer to the cry of every crying person. If you are safe, that's what I told, if you are safe, that means that God has allotted you safety in order to save others. If everybody is caught inside, who will come and rescue? So our safety is not a possible occasion for us to give a sense of relief. It is to expose our sensitivity to relieve others. So I told this, that we should answer to the cry of every person, every victim and survivor of disaster. The person told that it was very touching. Second, if you are smart, using the technology, using the team spirit, with your own courage and physical abilities, you can do. Don't think that you cannot do. All other ingredients are available. Technology is available. It will simplify your work. Team spirit will also reduce your work. Courage you can develop. One person went to graveyard, midnight 12 o'clock. He said very simply, well, how did you go? He answered, I know that you will be following me to check whether I am going or not. So I was confident. So with the technology, with the team spirit, with the smartness, you can develop your courage, and with your limited physical abilities, you can work. He told that it was very motivating. Then I told that astrologers, they predict that something is going to happen. It is something different. You are believing that and you are doing all remediations. Visibly, there are a lot of things that are going to occur as per the disastrous predictions made by the seismic scholars and analysts, but you are not believing it. It is more visible, it is more conspicuous, it is more rational. Why you are not believing it? You should do the remediation. Because you, your various associates, your neighbors, or your fellow brethren, somebody will be affected. He told that yes, it has made me to think. And I told, immediately you should get into disaster relief, because not bothering about disaster of others or yours is the worst disaster. Which is the worst disaster? Not tsunami, not earthquake. Not having any concern about the disaster, not having any botheration, or at least the slightest infinitesimal trace of sensitivity towards disasters that happen everywhere and that may happen to you. That insensitivity, amnesia and anemia that is inside you, which prevents you to think and work for others, that is the worst disasters. Then the person told us, yes, I will laugh, I will act. That is for acting. Just I will be happy and I will be doing. The sense of humor is in the last statement. Once a person was interrogated by a media person. Sir, can you tell about the disaster relief fund? What happened? Then the person very humbly answered, yes sir, we got only the disaster relief fund went somewhere else. So today it is a good beginning. It is a small but a great supreme beginning, because the count of the heads is entirely different from the integrated volume of the spirits of the people. We are not counting everything by heads. We are counting everything by the vehemence of social spirit of the hearts here. So it is a heart count. Based on this heart count, I think that we are voluminous, and with our dedication and with our continuous action, we can create a change in the society in bringing awareness as well as remediation. Once again, I appreciate the notable as well as laudable endeavors that have been taken by the organization, and yet they have to take innumerable prospective steps. I wholeheartedly wish all the existing as well as forthcoming ventures, adventures, vision and mission of the organization and their participants and partners to get a grand success in doing our duty as a denizen of this earth and the creation of God. Narayana Narayana.